Well, let's cross now to Maeve McMahon, our correspondent in Brussels. Hello to you there, Maeve. EU leaders have been floating the idea of an Article 50 extension for some time to give the British government more time to hammer out a Brexit deal. Has today's announcement put the British Prime Minister in a better position when it comes to negotiating with Brussels?
Well, time, of course, will tell. We're waiting for some comments to come out of that meeting tonight between Michel Barnier's negotiators and Geoffrey Cox, the Attorney General. They're working, of course, on that much-discussed backstop. But the feeling is among officials in the European Commission that there's no way that the UK can actually leave in an orderly fashion on the 29th of March, and that the only road to go down, of course, will be some sort of an extension, something that Theresa May would of course, have to call on. And as you can imagine, all eyes here in Brussels and all the various institutions have been on her speech today and on Jeremy Corbyn's announcement last night and the idea of a second referendum with the word Remain on the ballot. And 72 MEPs in the European Parliament, of course, have a lot at stake in this. And one of them is the head of UKIP, that's Gerard Batten. He's one of the founding members of UKIP. You've been an MEP since 2004. So you're well known around here, but since you've come here, you've been trying to get the United Kingdom out of the European Union. You told your voters that that would be easy and that it would be the path to freedom was the book that you wrote,
That's right.
If I remember well. But this is not really freedom, is it? I mean, it's 3 years now of negotiations that are not going so well, possibly an extension, possibly then a transitional agreement for 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, but that's because but we didn't have anybody in charge of the British side who actually wants to leave. I mean, of course not. What I described when I wrote about this back in 2014 of how you would leave if you really wanted to leave is you wouldn't have gone about it in this way.
How would you have gone about it?
If I'd have been Prime Minister and you'd had a patriotic House of Commons that actually really wanted to leave, which they don't, but that's another story, the week after the referendum you would have repealed the 1972 European Communities Act. You would have said to the European Union, we've now left under our law, but don't worry because all EU law stays in place as Acts of Parliament. It's all been transposed as Acts of Parliament, but we're now going to start to repeal and amend it in accordance with our priorities and our timescales, and we're going to explain to you how it's going to work. What you don't go to is to them and ask, if you're trying to negotiate with somebody who doesn't want what you want, you don't go and ask them how is it going to work, because you're not going to get a sensible answer. And here we are 2 years and 8 months later with no sensible answers from the Commission because it doesn't want us to leave. Why would it? I fully understand their position. They take us the British government for complete mugs because they're not going about it in the right way. And Mrs May is a Remainer who doesn't want to leave. We have a government that doesn't want to leave, and we have a majority in the House of Commons that doesn't want to leave.
But in your opinion now, would you rather you don't like May's deal, obviously, but would you be comfortable with no deal despite all the analysis that's come out?
Yes, because that's the only way it was ever going to work, as I've just described to you. What you do is you don't ask them for a deal. You tell them how it's going to work. Now, they want to go on trading with us, they still want to have relations with us, so why wouldn't they actually agree to what the British government would offer them if it had already left the European Union?
And all these trade agreements that you want to negotiate, who will negotiate them? Because up till now, since 73, this hard work has been done by the Commission.
First of all, you don't need to trade with people who have trade agreements. Countries trade together. Most of them do it around the world under WTO terms. Last time I checked, there was 50-odd different trade agreements between the EU and other countries. Now, immediately after the referendum, you had the President of Colombia saying, well, it can just continue in the same way. We novate those agreements if we want to. And last week I had a coffee with the Singaporean trade ambassador, I said to him, what's your attitude? Could we just continue with the trade agreement we've got with you? And he said, yes, certainly.
Well,
we just carry it over.
If only it was that simple, Gerard Batten. We're going to have to leave it there. The head of UKIP, thank you so much for speaking to Euronews tonight.
Much impassioned debate continuing there. Maeve, thank you very much.